The silence inside the car felt louder than the engine itself. The road stretched ahead like an endless strip of dark asphalt, illuminated only by headlights cutting through the early morning fog. She believed she was traveling alone. There were no unfamiliar bags, no sounds beyond the wind brushing against the doors, no sign that this simple trip would turn into something unforgettable. The clock on the dashboard read 2:17 a.m. when an unsettling feeling surfaced, not as sudden fear, but as the strange certainty of being watched. There were no cars behind her, no nearby gas stations, only miles of emptiness. Even so, something about that road felt alive, alert, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself. She had left hours earlier, convinced that driving at night would be faster and quieter. Empty roads always gave her a false sense of control, as if the world had paused just for her. The radio played softly, an old song distorted by weak signal. Then between one curve and the next, she noticed something strange in the rearview mirror. It wasn't a car. It wasn't headlights. It was simply a shadow that shouldn't exist inside her own vehicle. She turned her head quickly and saw nothing. The back seat was empty. Still, the unease remained, spreading slowly like cold beneath the skin. She tried to rationalize it. Fatigue, a long drive, an imagination fueled by the hour. Even so, she lowered the radio volume, craving silence to organize her thoughts. That was when she heard a sound, barely noticeable, like fabric being gently pressed. The noise came from inside the car, not outside. Her breathing grew shallow, but she refused to look at the back seat again. She tightened her grip on the steering wheel and kept her eyes fixed on the road. The feeling was clear. The longer she pretended she was alone, the more time she had before something changed. Minutes later, the car passed a rusted sign pointing to a temporary detour. There was no clear information, just an arrow directing traffic onto a narrower, darker road. With no other option, she slowed down and turned. The trees seemed to close in, forming a tight, oppressive corridor. The GPS signal disappeared almost instantly. That was when the air inside the car felt different, heavier, harder to breathe. The soft sound returned, now closer, as if someone were moving carefully, trying not to be noticed. She finally looked at the back seat. It was still empty. No bags, no jacket, nothing. Yet there was a subtle indentation in the upholstery, as if someone had just stood up. Her heart raced and a disturbing thought became clear. Whatever it was didn't need to be seen to be there. She pressed the accelerator, ignoring the potholes, feeling the car shake while the forest watched in absolute silence. The fear no longer came from the unknown, but from the quiet realization that she hadn't been alone since the beginning of the trip. The detour seemed endless. The headlights revealed only a few meters ahead, while everything else was swallowed by darkness. Then a new sound emerged, unmistakable this time. Breathing. It wasn't hers. The rhythm was slow, controlled, as if whoever was breathing was perfectly comfortable. Tears welled up without her noticing, but she kept driving, as if stopping meant accepting something irreversible. Every second on that road felt like a silent negotiation between pretending everything was normal and admitting that something else was sharing that space with her. Her first attempt to call for help failed. No signal, not a single bar. She considered honking the horn, but for whom? There were no houses, no lights, only trees and the road. Then the radio turned on by itself. The same song returned, now much louder. The knob hadn't been touched. The music brought no comfort. Instead, it felt like it was marking time, an invisible countdown. The breathing behind her continued, steady and patient, as if waiting for something specific to happen. When the road finally opened up, she spotted a small, abandoned gas station by the roadside. She slowed down, seized by desperate hope. The lights were off, windows broken, but it was a fixed point, something real. When she stopped the car, the silence became absolute. The breathing stopped. For a few seconds, everything felt too normal. She stayed still, hands trembling, listening only to her own heartbeat. That was when a gentle pressure settled on her shoulder, firm enough to leave no doubt, light enough to keep her from screaming. She didn't scream. She didn't turn around. She simply closed her eyes as if that could suspend reality. The pressure faded as slowly as it had appeared. The back seat creaked, as if someone had settled there again. Without words, she understood that it didn't depend on her reaction. The journey was no longer about escape, but about accepting that from the moment she entered that road, something had decided to accompany her. When she opened her eyes, the rearview mirror reflected only darkness, but the sense of presence never left. She kept driving. There was no more detour, no closing forest. The main highway reappeared as if nothing had happened. The sky began to lighten on the horizon, announcing dawn. Gradually, raw fear gave way to something deeper, harder to define, a quiet understanding that some experiences don't need visible scars to change someone forever. The breathing didn't return, the sounds faded, but the back seat seemed to carry an invisible weight, constant and impossible to ignore. Hours later, upon reaching her destination, she parked in front of the hotel and remained seated for several long minutes. The sun was already high, people walked by, cars came and went. The world looked far too normal. Before getting out, she glanced one last time at the back seat. Nothing. Still, she adjusted the rearview mirror carefully, as if respecting a space that no longer belonged solely to her. She grabbed her bag, stepped out of the car, and locked the doors, feeling relief that brought no peace. During her stay, she avoided thinking about the drive. She slept little, always with the sensation that she wasn't truly alone, even in crowded places. The incident was never mentioned. There was no way to explain something that left no evidence. No records, no sounds captured, no mechanical failures. Only the memory of a silent presence that chose to travel with her down an empty road without asking permission. Sometimes at night she still wakes up with the feeling of a car in motion and a back seat that is never completely empty.